We are back.
We are back, dude. We're rolling and we're getting into the second hour. Smash those likes. I know Booner's been asking for it, but it's my turn. Smash those likes.
We're at 144.
Hit the emojis in the bottom right corner of the chat. That helps the algorithm too. All this stuff which helps us push our content, push our live stream out to more people on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? We know there's other shows out there. If you decide to go watch something in this hour, throw us on mute, keep the tab open, start a new tab, enjoy your time, and then come back before the end of the show.
To end your night.
Finish
Let's go,
with
man.
us. We appreciate you guys for all being here. I want to ask you, Booner, we want to talk about some of the pressure for this game and this season. Because there's a lot on the line. Even being a first game of the season, there's a lot on the line. There's a lot of hype this all offseason. National media is talking about the Lions for the first time. Is there more pressure on the Lions, on Dan Campbell? Is there more pressure on Andy Reid and the Chiefs? Where are you at right now?
I think it's pretty obvious, and if we're looking at team-wise, the most pressure right now, most probably on the Detroit Lions. It's the hype. Obviously, we're all coming out of the same old Lions thing. Finished the season 8-2, and we're getting into this expectation era of the Detroit Lions. So I would have to say, team-wise, the Detroit Lions. If I had to break it down look at a player who is under the most pressure or coach, I already just went at Dan Campbell. I love you, Dan Campbell. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But if I was going to go at someone here to kind of say who's under the most pressure, Jared frickin' Goff. He has to be the one that anyone that you would have to say is under the most pressure right now. Yesterday we talked about it. We did our team awards. Jared Goff, team MVP. And why is that? Because if the Detroit Lions play well, if the Detroit Lions win, it's because Jared Goff is kind of putting up those numbers. He's the one that's leading this team. If Jared Goff goes out there and lays an egg tomorrow, not even, especially versus the Chiefs, not even just a small, he could just lay just a little bit of an egg. If he does anything and doesn't come out and perform at a high level, we don't win this game. It comes down to, what does Jared Goff do tomorrow? Does he lead this team? Does he not? I truly believe that the most pressure out of any player right now going into tomorrow is Jared Goff. And I don't see, defense, we already know what our defense is kind of going to be. We've added pieces to it, but we know versus Patrick Mahomes, you're going to give up yards and points. That's inevitable. You're never going to get away from that. But it's just, can Jared Goff compete with that Patrick Mahomes offense? Can he stick with it? If he doesn't perform well, we probably don't win the game. So that is the most pressure.
Booner, what are the chances we can get another Goff versus Mahomes performance like back in, I think it was 2017, might be 2018.
Was that Monday Night Football?
It was Monday Night Football in the Coliseum. They went head-to-head. Jared Goff and the Rams came out on top. Do you think we can get another effort like that?
I don't know. I'm stuck in between. I don't know if I want to see that, or I don't know. Because I don't want to see a shootout like that. My heart all night will just be I'll have a heart attack. Well, we'll be live on stream. I probably would just drop dead.
Yeah.
Think about that. Imagine the Detroit Lions, on the last drive, they have to go down and score a touchdown. It would be awesome, but I'd rather them just be up by a full touchdown already and get a stop or I don't know.
You're a Booner, though. You bet, right?
I do bet.
That's bet heaven right there.
Oh, man. I'm not taking the over, though.
That'd be heaven for you, man.
If I had the over, that would... Ooh, I would love that.
Calm down, Booner.
But I don't have the over. A couple days ago, I locked in the Detroit Lions plus 6 before it moved to 4.5. So I've got the Detroit Lions tomorrow.
Riding with you on that one, Booner.
Let's go.
Plus 6. And also, you do not want Kansas City to have that ball at the end. I know that's a fact. You do not want that ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands.
You definitely don't.
A chance.
I got to tell you about who I think is under the most pressure. And this person, this former player, I don't think he's on the hot seat or under pressure for the season. I don't think his job's in jeopardy. But I think for this very first game, it's very, very, very important for Dan Campbell to get the team ready and come out of the gate hot.
Yeah.
With the slow start last year, with some of the duds in the biggest games of the year, which I'm going to say the Patriots were one of them, not because it actually was one of the biggest games, but remember how much hype there was leading into that game, going and seeing Matt Patricia for the first time, being offensive coordinator. Then we go out and lay an egg, a 0 spot on the Patriots, and then the Panthers. I think Dan Campbell, he needs to get this team ready. I think if he doesn't,
I agree.
I don't know if he doesn't. That says something about all the preparation. Should the starters have played in the preseason games? Should they have worked out differently in the training camp? I don't know.
Talk to him, bro.
I don't know. No, I am a Campbell supporter, and I believe that the concept of what he's doing makes sense. I'm just saying it's important that they come out ready to play on Thursday.
On my list here, I had Dan Campbell at the top of it, but obviously the segment before, I just went in on Dan Campbell about how he needs to take that next step as a coach, and I would say he is probably, him and Jared Goff are the two that are leading this team. Those are the two dudes that need to bring it tomorrow. They do. And real quick, especially Dan Campbell building this team in the offseason.
Real quick, I got to tell you about college football, or For the Love of College Football pregame show. Spencer Raxter, Flannel Sam, Easy, and many more will get you pumped up every Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10 a.m. on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're a Sparty, whether you're a Wolverine, go Blue, or a fan of that other team down south and OH, you know those guys, we welcome you to love your Saturday with Woodward Sports. You know who else I had on my list?
Who'd you have?
I had the Lions offensive line.
Wow.
If Chris Jones is out, this offensive line, the Detroit Lions, this is the first time all five of them have played together in at least two, maybe ever actually, in at least 2 years. We got Taylor Decker at left tackle, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Halapoulivaati Vaitai, and Penei Sewell. Graham Glasgow coming off the bench, probably that backup center, backup right guard position. With Chris Jones out, who's one of the top 3 defensive difference makers in the league, definitely a top 3 defensive tackle, this offensive line and David Montgomery behind them need to dominate.
Is that really? I don't even think, though, I wouldn't even make that as like, are they under, like, I wouldn't put the offensive line under pressure because they dominated last year for us. Like, that's why Jamal Williams broke Barry Sanders' record, is those guys dominated. Obviously, Vaitai's back. Excuse me.
No problem.
Dan Campbell, that Kool-Aid's getting to me. But obviously, Big V's back, and this offense is fully healthy. I don't think there's anything, though, like pressure-wise or anything that they need to prove tomorrow. Like, I know they're going to show up and they're going to dominate that defensive line. I know. I'm very confident.
I think that's why
Am I confident
there's pressure.
Dan Campbell's going to call not going to call a random timeout or do a bad play call? I'm like 70% like confident. The offensive line, I'm 100% confident they're going to show up. They're going to, 1, protect Jared Goff, and 2, our run game's going to be decent.
Talk is cheap, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Mother, what?
What? Say, Jalen, hit me.
I think it's no pressure for anybody.
Nobody on the Lions.
Andy Reid doesn't prove anything. Patrick Mahomes, nothing. Kelsey, nothing. I think Goff, his first game, I think he'd have to, show something out or whatever, but the Lions just have to compete. If we can hang with them and maybe win, we'll be fine. But, I don't think it's no pressure. I mean, Dan Campbell, we're not supposed to win that game anyway, right?
Apparently.
Quote, unquote.
I mean, Vegas still has the Chiefs.
But if they go out there, though, and they get, knock on wood, they get beat by 2 touchdowns, people will be like, what happened?
If we get
pressure.
If we get beat like that, then, hey, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but if we could just hang with them and compete and show that we're legit, it's nothing. Just don't get blown out like you said.
Got a new nickname for you, courtesy of Peaceful Tim.
What I got?
Coach Prime. Was that Coach Prime in there? That's a good one.
Don't get me started.
Not Baby Drummond, not Minnie Drummond.
Oh no, theme music is loading. Don't get me started.
Yeah. Nick.
Yeah, Broder, I absolutely love the offensive line one that you signed up because this is the first time they've played all 5 of them. And we've heard top 3 O-line, top 5 O-line all offseason. That's why I do believe we haven't seen it like the drop says. Talk is cheap. We need to see them absolutely dominate that KC defensive line, and if we see that, that's when these dreams start becoming reality, when we can start talking about a huge Lions season that we were all expecting.
Can we, Jalen, do you know how to do a chat yet? Can we do a
poll?
chat and say who's under the most pressure? Could we just throw Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, who else I want to see in the chat if I see a couple here. Maybe, let's wait, let's see if a couple pop up. I want to get 2 more. Because I am interested to see who people actually think, if it's Dan Campbell, if it's Jared Goff.
So throw Aaron Glenn.
That's a good one. Throw Aaron Glenn in there as well.
I don't think he's under pressure tomorrow, but
That's
Aaron
a
Glenn,
great one.
I wanted to end this with sort of the Detroit Lions season, because I think
O-line, throw the O-line in there.
There's Aaron Glenn pressure for the entire season. Like they got pieces now. Now they got to perform. So I think for the season, for the Lions season, he's trying to get a head coaching job.
That's a great one.
Aaron Glenn's, for me, across the season, I think he's ready, and I think he's going to get the boys ready. But so what do you guys think? We got most pressure, Goff, Glenn, Dan C, that's MCDC, or the O-line. My guess is O-line's going to finish last, probably.
I would guess. I don't know if it doesn't have a vote yet.
And so it says most pressure. Are we asking the chat most pressure for the Lions this season or on Thursday, tomorrow?
I think just tomorrow. This is more so in the game tomorrow. Who's going to have the most pressure on them tomorrow to make sure that they perform? That whether it's Dan Campbell as the head coach, Aaron Glenn, his defense performs. This is actually, I don't know how we left Aaron Glenn off this list. That is great because remember how we started the year last year when it ended up. We struggled a ton. We were giving up like that Seattle game, 40-something points.
Yeah.
We were giving up so many points. Patriots, 20-something. Like everything just wasn't going our way on defense. And then all of a sudden, shout out to Easy too, because I think he was doing like the protect the Glenn thing. And all of a sudden, it kind of just flipped, and that defense just turned, and we went 8-2. So that's actually a huge question. Can Aaron Glenn do that for the whole season with this defense?
Yeah. It was, I think after that Aubrey Pleasant firing was kind of triggered that. Not to say Aubrey Pleasant was the reason, but man, they didn't have the dudes last year. Like Jerry Jacobs played out of his mind. He was probably the only defensive back on the roster who actually played well. They finished as like the worst defensive backfield, the worst secondary in the league. What are you saying in the chat?
There's Easy. Defend the Glenn.
Defend the Glenn.
He was the one that was defending it. So I'm just interested too, and I just want to see him kind of put that, like, it's like any player, like a player that performs for half a season. You want to see him put a full season together.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, we want to see him do that whole 8-2 stretch. We want to see that for the full season. So I want to see Aaron Glenn lead a defense, a legit defense, because he had all of these head coaching interviews this offseason. We know he can coach. We know who Aaron Glenn is. Let's just see all season. Like, let's get this defense firing on all cylinders. Day one versus the Kansas City Chiefs in primetime.
100%.
Not week 8.
And he doesn't have any excuses anymore because
Zero.
now he has the dudes.
Yes.
Part of the problem last season why the Lions struggled is he stuck to his guns and how he wants to run the defense. A ton of man coverage, a ton of blitzing, and that left some of these underachieving cornerbacks out on an island. Now he's got Cam Sutton, soon to be Emmanuel Mosley, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph another year, Tracy Walker, a stud coming off the bench. Like he's got the dudes. There's no excuse anymore. Pressure's on Aaron Glenn.
I don't want to be. This isn't negative. I don't think,
No.
because I know we're talking Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions, but how crazy is it? It's like a really good and a really like bad thing that by the end of this year, if Aaron Glenn brings us like an insane defense, goes from 32nd to top 10 or top 15, and Ben Johnson does his thing like he did last year, that we could, by the end of the season, we're probably going to lose both coordinators.
It might happen.
But I know we're supposed to be positive, like, let's go Chiefs tomorrow, but we have like 2 of the best coordinators on each side of the ball in the NFL right now. And at the end of the season, we might lose both of them.
That's part of what being a good team we're going to have to live with as a fan base, as a city supporting the team. They're bringing in, finally, good enough coordinators where they're getting love and they're getting head coaching opportunities. And that says a lot about Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and how they're not only scouting these coaches or bringing them in, but also how they're supporting them through this process. They genuinely want them to go take their dream job, to move on. Ben Johnson, they want him to be a head coach. And what they're doing, they're grooming Tanner Engstrand. They're grooming some of these younger coordinators, younger positional coaches to be the next in line. And it's worked so far. So it's just something we're going to have to deal with. Like we had to deal with good players getting cut, we're going to have to deal with good coaches moving on.